But the question is, why are we unhappy? And are we able to make a choice to be happier in certain circumstances?
The thing that annoys me most about us as black folks is that we can be given information and come up with some BS excuse as to why we can't achieve something.
People want to get from point A to point Z and not follow the steps that it takes to get there. And I think out of comfort and out of laziness, we rob ourselves of actually getting there. Back to the upbringing, women have been counseled to, just your 20s, figure yourself out, get to know yourself.
Right.
It's all self-driven. And then,
it is.
By the time you're 30, you'll be able to.
Do
y'all not know that middle age 30 is when your pregnancy chances go drastically down?
Yeah, right. Like, this is something I was having this conversation, and I feel like people need to be careful about prioritizing, goals and dreams for too long over their real goals and dreams. And what I mean by that is, like, people will be like, well, yeah, I want to get married, I want to have kids, right? This is a goal and a dream of a lot of people, right? But if that is a goal and a dream of yours, why put it off for another one when this one has an expiration date?
Yes, it does.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'll tell somebody, like, look, you want to be careful about putting off, family life or not prioritizing family life for too long, because when the day comes that you do have kids, if that causes you to not be able to go after those things that you thought you wanted to go after, you want to be careful, because you might start resenting your own children. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is something that I don't think people think about. But, I mean, the reality is like, people have kids, they always will tell you, you ain't got no kids? Good, don't. Or whatever, because
it's crazy.
Because life changes. It's a full-on commitment. And you have to be willing to give up a lot of things in order to have that life. But that's what you said you wanted, right?
Well, and let's keep in mind, in order to have kids or to want to have kids, you got to be selfless.
Right.
So, if you're talking about, like I said before, a generation of people that have been raised to only think about themselves, kids is going to sound like a chore rather than a benefit.
Right.
And so a blessing. A husband or a wife.
Right.
So I think, and I'm 25. I have a lot of peers that, at this point in their life, they're going in so many different directions. It's like some are in jail, some have passed away, some have great jobs, some have no jobs. Some are thriving. So there's so many different things that I see with my peers, and I think a common denominator that I see personally is this sort of, they're clinging on to that dream. I mean, at this point, I can't tell you how many aspiring rappers I know. And I'm not saying that to like talk mess, but what I'm saying is that that's not, in my opinion, that's not because that's what they want to be. It's because that's the only thing they've seen. So in our culture, if all you see are athletes and rappers that are successful, and you don't see the dentist, you don't see the firemen, you don't see the anesthesiologists, you don't see the lawyers, you don't see the other professions that will give you the lifestyle that you want, then you're gonna just result back to childhood stuff.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say is that the only part of what you said that I slightly disagree with is that you said that it's something that's not seen. The thing is I'm gonna say I disagree with that. And the reason why I say I disagree with it is because I think that people do see it, whether they're black or not. People do see it. the thing is that what's going on in our community now is that black people are being taught that, again, like I said, becoming a fireman, plumber, electrician, engineer, doctor, that's average now in our community. That's living average.
Yeah.
And we all have this grandiose.
We put it in quotes for a reason, people.
Because it's not average. It's not average. It's not average at all. It's not even close to average.
Yep.
Not only is it respectable, but it can afford all the things that I mentioned. Can afford you a very, very nice lifestyle. Like, Evan, are you okay with me sharing your job title in the?
Yeah.
Okay, Evan, you're a copywriter, right? A copywriter for the company that you're working for.
E-commerce
company. So the thing about that is, like, that is a great foot in the door to a lot of different. I mean, there's copywriter positions that pay six figure plus salary.
Definitely.
Right. So the
One
thing
day,
is,
y'all.
is that
One day.
but see, the thing is that there's nothing wrong with that, and there are people that will look at that and go, "Oh, well, that's all you want?
Right.
That's it." There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
That is phenomenal.
Right.
But we have a culture that's looking at it like if you aren't making $1 bajillion a year with your face on the screen or your face in some credits,
can afford to buy your girl a Gucci bag.
Yeah, this is the way we're looking at it. That if now you're just average,
right?
Like,
and
man,
I think that a lot of people, especially in our community, they look at shit like, excuse my mouth, but they look at it like you gotta do something that earns you a lot of clout, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is when, you know, shout out to Biggie, either you selling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. It's like, is there any in between? But the thing is those who are selling crack or the drug lords or whatever, they got a lot of respect on the street. If you're not doing that, you got to make it big by being a rapper or a baller.
Yeah.
The ballers all want to be rappers. The rappers all want to be ballers. But none of them want to be doctors. None of them want to be lawyers.
But that's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's because we have a struggle complex in our culture.
Right.
We're always competing for who struggled the most.
Right. And it's like when you think about this stuff, it kind of makes sense because I was just in this conversation, I was asking myself, and I've probably subconsciously asked myself this before, but it's like, you ever notice that every single time a black family or black person has a case, let's say a wrongful death, at the hands of police or whatever, right? You ever notice there's only one person that ever gets those cases? Ben Crump, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And before it is Johnny Cochran. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's like it's funny to me, but it's not, because it's like, are they going to this person because he's the best at what he does, or are they going because he's the only option? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think most of us in this community, we don't even view that as an option. You know, like, you know, but at the same time, because I will, you know, you guys both know I had this conversation with you guys, I thought about going to law school.
Yes.
I like to argue.
Yes.
I'm very logical. I like to prove my point.
Passionate.
And I think that I could make a good attorney. However, people look at their lives. They look at themselves. I think, me personally, I looked at myself and I was like, it's probably not the best move for me right now. You know, I can be honest with myself. Others, I think they'll probably make excuses. You know, I think you guys know why it's not the best move for me right now. But I think others make excuses for why they can't be great like that. Or they come up thinking that because nobody's glorifying these roles in society, that they're not worth it.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah.
I love that you said that. So the thing is that we have talked about this off of camera so much, right? And that when black people, especially a black man, but black people in general, when you're not in a glorified position, your word in the community means, pardon my French, jack shit.
Right.
Because the problem is that me as a person, I consider myself decently successful. I feel like I've achieved some things in life.
Definitely.
I'm not perfect, but I feel like I've gotten some places. I've done some things, made some mistakes. But at the end of the day, the thing about it is that if we go on some kind of platform, a basketball player who just made it to the NBA at 21 years old, who ain't never lived life, who just got out of high school, is going to be listened to on a stage more than me at 34.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, pardon my French again, is a fucking shame.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Because, go ahead, Nick, my bad.
No, what I was gonna say is
That's facts, though.
and like I said, that's a cultural thing. Look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in an industry now where you can count on one finger how many people look like me,
Mhm.
right? And so,
Dang, bro, one finger? Not even one
I
hand?
mean, my bad.
Well, he might actually be right. That's the
I might be
thing.
right.
I see you, bro.
I might be right.
I see you.
But one thing I will say, and this goes to about learning about other cultures and benefiting from their environment too, is look, I'm around people that make millions of dollars a year. They're not flashy. They don't drive the flashiest car. They wear the same clothes that I wear,
Yep.
right? And they don't look like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, people that look like us, if they're making the type of money that the people I'm around are making, half of that shit is going toward designer bags,
Yep.
designer shoes, designer clothes,
Mhm.
you know, Teslas,
Yep.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously, there's more conversations that go into that,
Mhm.
but it just goes to show you that we have to stop acting like black people are the only people that we can learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Because if black people are the only people we can learn from, we're never gonna progress as a culture.
It's going to make it a lot slower, for
It-
sure.
It is.
Well,
for
and
sure.
also, we got to stop acting like black people in the most grandiose positions
Right.
are the only people that we can learn
Right.
from. I can learn a lot from my next door neighbor who's 65 years old.
Mhm.
I can learn a lot from him. I can learn a lot from a copywriter.
Well, and
a
that-
man who's college educated and been a copywriter for the last 5 years.
But that goes back to what is black excellence. Because at the end of the day, black excellence 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago was just having a solid career,
Yep.
being able to provide for your family as a man, right? And as a woman, having kids, having a family, supporting your husband in, you know, whatever ways that may mean.
The way you dress, represent
Right.
yourself, carry yourself.
Exactly.
All that. Yeah.
It wasn't based on how many followers you have. It
Yep.
wasn't based on, you know, just very modern-ish that just doesn't matter.
And I want to double back on what you just said about, like, you can learn a lot from a regular man who has a college degree and all that stuff. The same goes to say for a man who doesn't have a college degree.
Facts.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't.
Like, exactly. Like, you
I
you
have a
don't.
problem saying it.
And I've learned a lot from you. You know what I'm saying? So
Appreciate that.
there's a lot to be said. And when I look back on it, I mean, I have many times where I question if I regret going to college. Now, as a basketball player, of course I don't. You know, of course, I'm going to go to college and play because that was my avenue of playing basketball. But outside of that, do I feel like having $20,000 worth of student debt is worth it? No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
And you probably could have just gotten a certificate to be a copywriter.
right. Now,
Or-
once you get out of the out of college and you've already been effed by the system, then you're like, oh, I was effed by the system.
Yeah.
But there's not too much you can do about it now. So the only thing that you can do about it now is pass that knowledge on to, you know, now your kids and whoever else may need it.
Yeah.
But man, there's a lot to be learned from a lot of people,
Well-
college educated or not.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think the point is, I think as black folks, we're really poor decision makers.
Man,
Like very poor,
man,
very impulsive. And
Yeah.
I'm speaking
generally.
generally. I'm not speaking factually. This is my observable reality.
Yeah,
of what I
because
see.
somebody's gonna say, "Well, LeBron didn't make bad decisions." Well, you ain't
I'm
LeBron.
not LeBron James.
Exactly.
Okay?
Neither am I.
I mean, the reality is, if LeBron came into the league and broke his leg his first year, you would have called it a bad decision.
Yeah.
So,
But my point in saying that is,
shout out to LeBron James. I love you, man. All right.
my point in saying that is, I mean, I've told you a bunch of times, if I could do a redo, I would have gotten into real estate straight out of high school.
Yeah.
If
I bet. You didn't need no degree for that.
I don't need a degree for
Right.
that. I could have just studied for the test, got my license, and
Yeah,
started
essentially,
doing what
that's
I'm
a
doing.
trade.
Yep.
Essentially, it's a trade.
That was, I
Yep.
graduated high school, what, 7 years ago, 8 years ago? I could have
Who
been.
knows where you'd be right now?
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And things happen for a reason, you know, bumps and bruises along the way.
Mhm.
But the point is that, you know, I think we have to start broadening people's ideas of what a good life is.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because a good life doesn't have to be this celebrity complex.
No.
We have way too much of
Yeah.
a celebrity complex in our community. If you're
Facts.
not known, if you don't have like you said, clout, if you don't have some sort of very almost like a narcissism thing going on,
Yeah.
and your life is not important.
Yeah.
And we got to start breaking that, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a bunch of people that make it really big, and there's going to be a lot more people that are flat on their ass because all they were doing was trying to chase a dream instead of being practical about, you know what career gives me the type of lifestyle that I want?
Mhm.
What allows me to be able to take care of a family, be able to go on vacation a couple times a year, save up for retirement, just have a basic good life.
Well, people are told that that's not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And that's not even average.
But the sad part about it is, people are being told that taking a few vacations a year and paying a mortgage and taking care of your kids and raising your family ain't enough. And we're in the United States of America. People are out here living third world.
Yeah.
They're living in third world countries, barely have electricity and running water. And we're sitting here telling people that buying yourself a modest home, I don't say we're telling people, but
Yeah.
people are being told, or it's being presented to them, that owning a modest home, that getting married, having kids, having to sacrifice a little bit in order to make those things happen is too much and a hard life.
73, I think it is, percentage-wise. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember this, but I think 73% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
For sure.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
For sure.
So,
But
and most of the time, or not most of the time, but a lot of the times, I'm not gonna say that systems aren't a part of that struggle,
Yeah.
but a lot of it, man. At what point do we start taking accountability for our own decisions?
Yes.
yeah, for sure. I mean, there are, man, I can't say names. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do that. But people close to me, or at one point, you know what I'm saying, who to this day will not be able to be employed or certain jobs based on some dumbass decisions they made like a decade ago or more. You know, and
But
it's
sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just laziness.
oh yeah, that too.
You know what I'm
That too.
saying?
That too. Because I feel it. I do find it hard to believe that one decision that you made, unless you are locked up, you should be able to figure something out.
Even then, people make it.
Oh, I know.
People make it.
I know.
And you know what? Guess what? Getting locked up doesn't mean that you become the next 50 Cent.
Right.
Getting locked up, I know people who have been locked up, been in bad ways, bad straits, who go on to become, you know, high earning plumbers or engineers, or because they made a decision and somebody held them accountable and said, hey, you know what? Get it together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we're not doing anymore. We're not holding each other accountable. Ain't nobody grabbing, you know, nobody's grabbing. Nick's 25 years old, and he's got a lot of probably, you know, younger people, because I'm a little older, younger people that are his age that nobody has grabbed and said, bruh, you're not going to be a rapper. Do something else.
Yeah.
Do something like that ain't it for you.
You're 25. You're playing
25.
ball at a JC. It's time to give it up.
It's time to do something else.
But this is where we have to understand pride.
Yeah.
And how much of that we have in this community as well.
Yeah, well.
Pride. Because literally all you hear, like DJ Khaled is DJ Khaled, I mess with him, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's entertaining, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But people like him.
Yeah.
What do you hear all the time? They said I would never do this. They said I couldn't do that. Blah, 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 right? And so it's that pride that makes people be like, well, you can tell me that.
Yep.
But am I going to listen?
Yeah.
Am I going to be like, you know what, you got a point. I should probably have a backup plan.
Well, because as a community, we listen to like 0.1% of the population for our life advice.
Right.
Which is absolutely
right.
I don't want to say it's dumb.
Yeah. Now look. Now let me tell you something. To y'all, anybody who's listening, I regret, I guess, my ignorant pride growing up. And I don't think it was necessarily pride because I don't feel I really had people telling me you're not going to make it. But for me, I still didn't have much of an idea that I might not. And to this very day, I regret it because I feel like I was robbed of a dream because of, health circumstances or whatever. I feel I was robbed rather than feeling comfortable and having a backup plan and being great at something else. And I personally, I lucked up. I guess you could say I lucked up because I am good at something else. I've always been good at something else. The reason I'm a writer to this day is because I said, you know what? If basketball doesn't work out, I had an English teacher in 8th grade. My mom came with me to school and was like, Miss Brooks, your son's a very good writer. And I was like, oh, you think so? She's like, yeah, you should look into, maybe being a writer if basketball doesn't work out. And her name was Miss Jensen. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, all right, I'm good at writing. If basketball doesn't work out, I'll write. Yeah. Here I am writing. Yep. I don't love it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I don't love it, but it's getting my bills paid.
But guess what? When you make it a little bit further in writing, you know what you're going to love? The life you live.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. It's not always about loving what you do. It's about loving the life you live, and
it's
the
about
people
loving
who are around
what
you.
It's about loving the things that what you do can provide for you.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, I kind of wanted to transition a little bit while we're talking about accountability in this community. There's something that we as a people probably don't discuss often enough, and that's using a particular word. You brought this. I don't want to take credit for this idea. Aaron brought this up earlier, and it kind of, the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, we should talk about this. Because like we've all been guilty of saying nigga. Okay, we've all been guilty of it. Facts. As black people, many would argue that it's not a problem that we do that. I will be honest and say I'm on both sides of the fence. The more I think about it, I'm on both sides of the fence. But there's a lot to break down about this, and I kind of felt like, while we're in February and we talking about black issues in our community, we probably should discuss this. So since you had brought it to my attention, Aaron, I wanted to get your thoughts on it first.
Well, originally we sat down and had this conversation about black excellence, right? Now, I understand that the reason why the word runs rampant today in our community is by and large because of hip hop.
Right.
We already knew that the word existed. We know where it comes from. We know how it got here, right? But in my humble opinion, and this is not coming from an elitist place as a person who has never used the word around people, the word really does not have a place in our vocabulary or in our society, especially with as much as we use it. The thing about it is this: if we're going to use the word, and if it's going to be in our music as much as it is, at a certain point, we can't sit here and be like, well, we're going to be the FBI of the word and be mad at this person, that person saying it, when we can be at a concert and every rapper can say it and we can sing along with the lyrics. We tell somebody, but no, on that part you can't sing along. Like you gotta bleep it out like you playing the edited version on the radio, right? Like at some point we gotta be accountable or that word. And one of the things that trips me out about it is that, growing up in high school, that type of thing, like, yes, it was on the radio, yes, it was this, yes, we heard it on songs and lyrics and everything else. But the one thing that I'll say, one difference from when I was younger, especially to now, is that word was only used in black circles. Mm-hmm. Now we get to the point where we have no respect, and this is a whole nother issue, but we don't have any respect for the people around us. So you see kids 15, 16, 17 years old in areas where they the only 3 black people there. Yeah, my nigga, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what's up, nigga? Like, bro,
that's my biggest,
like,
that's
come
my
on now.
Right.
Like, if you don't want people to use the word, mm-hmm. then don't use it around other people.
Facts.
Because you can't,
well,
you can't.
And that goes back to ethnic image, right?
Speak on it, young brother.
So, I think, like I said, there's an arrogance about the way that the culture has gone when it comes to self, right? Mm-hmm. And there is no, okay, what I do, what I say, how I act impacts the entire culture as a whole and the way that people view us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that sense of, oh, I'm accountable to the entire image and culture of where I come from, then you're going to act a fool because you don't feel accountable to anybody else.
Right. Now, about this accountability, what I would ask you guys is, how can black people take accountability for a word they're not responsible for? So it's like, look, black people didn't ask for that word to start being used, and this is my thought on, where the reason why we use it. Mm-hmm. You'll hear people say we use this as a form of endearment now, right? And it's true. This is, quote, my nigga. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing, right? Now, why do we use it as a form of endearment when it was used as such a derogatory term toward us? Yeah. I think this is black people's way of saying F you. It's a middle finger to white people who created it, saying, look, you want to create a hateful term towards us, we're going to take that and turn it into love, right? However, this is where my problem lies. What I just explained is why I don't have a problem with us using it. Mm-hmm. Where my problem lies is that we take it and we make those the rules. Mm-hmm. And then you have somebody like Eminem, right? Mm-hmm. Who, I don't think there would be a single black person who would argue that Eminem is a racist. No. Right? But if he said nigga, we'd be ready to have his head. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because this is a term of endearment. Mm-hmm. So if he comes up to you and says, what's good, my nigga, you're going to, because of what his people did, just like we are not slaves, Eminem was not a slave owner, right? Mm-hmm. So he should be able, should he not, if he has proven that, look, I am not a racist. I am not using this in a derogatory term. Exactly what you're saying. Should he not be able to use it in the same manner we do? He's already using our culture in terms of hip hop. We don't have no problem. Well, I'm not gonna say people don't have a problem with him elevating, but we accept him. Yes, we accept him as a rapper. Personally, I accept him as one of the greatest ever. Yeah, so the greatest lyricist ever. Right. So the fact that he is showing us love continuously, why would we have a problem if he's saying my nigga if the next black person isn't, if we don't have a problem with that?
If it's a term of endearment.
If it's a term of endearment. Exactly. So that is what I feel we have to consider.
Well, and see, you're right. But the problem is that we can't use the word, right? Right. And then be mad at somebody like Eminem. If he, and I've never heard him say it, but I'm just saying, for sake of argument,
we all know that if he said it, people would be up in arms.
It would be an uproar, right? So at what point do we either go, okay, we got to sacrifice something here? Mm-hmm. We either sacrifice the term of endearment in order for people not to say it, or you have to say it and accept other people saying it. Right. You got to pick one. Like, I'm sorry, that's just, we're at that point now. You have to pick one.
I was at the Clipper game the other night. And I left to go get a pretzel, right? And I'm in line by myself, and there's a Hispanic dude with his girl right behind. And I remember I was looking. I was looking off, maybe like at a TV. You know, I was about to say Staples Center, but Crypto.com arena.
Staples Center, the house that Kobe built.
Yeah, facts. But you know how like, you know, when you're in like the outside part of, you know, the actual arena, there's TVs all over, so you can still see what's going on. So I think I was looking up at one of those. But nonetheless, when I like bring myself back to, you know, presence, my eyes just happen to catch this guy who was behind me in line. And he's like looking dead at me, right? And I'm like, all right. But I just mind my business. And then I overhear him talking to his girl, and he's like messing around, you know, when somebody mess around with their girl. And he was like, what? And then he was like, it was like he was trying to prove a point, or like he was trying to piss me off. So he goes from saying like, what you say, to being like, what you say, my nigga? Right? And I'm like, bro, like, people got to understand. That's one of those circumstances where I don't think that shit is cool. Like, it's like, bro, you see a black man standing right in front of you that you don't know, meaning he don't know you, you know what I'm saying? He does not know your intentions, nothing. So if I don't know your intentions, then it should be my first reaction based on where we're at with the world and society, or with the word in society. It should be my reaction to feel like you're trying to disrespect me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like there's a fine line between allowing other people to say it and not. You know what I'm saying? If Eminem said it, I wouldn't even feel that bad. This dude, you know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, like, are you trying to piss me off right now? That's what I'm thinking in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, the problem is that you can't measure intent. You know what I mean? Intent is a very subjective feeling, right? So you're not gonna get upset at Eminem for saying it because you feel like his intent isn't to be racist, right? But if I come into contact with, you know, some white dude in a very old school South rural area, and he adds an ER to it, I'm gonna be feeling away. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the word, I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong. I think but I do understand what you're saying as far as we have to pick what it is that we want. I think in our culture, and like I said earlier, I think at this point we're just finding ways to be upset.
Look, I was gonna tell you guys something too. There was another thought I had on it, on why I'm like, man, low key, like the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, we kind of look dumb.
Yes.
We kind of look dumb.
And uneducated.
Yeah, we kind of look dumb by using the word nigga, man. Because I just saw something the other day. I don't know, you guys might have seen it too. Low key, I might have sent it to you guys. Where Neo was on the radio.
I saw it.
Yeah, talking about women and how if you want men to stop calling you derogatory terms, stop dancing to it. Right? Stop acting like it's cool when the music is on, but then they call you that in real life and you're like, right?
Yeah.
This is literally the same thing.
Exactly.
This is literally the same thing.
100%.
And I agreed wholeheartedly with Neo. So I'm like, can I be mad at somebody else?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, they gotta be, other ethnic backgrounds must look at us like we're stupid.
Yeah.
Because one, you don't see Hispanics going around talking about what's good, my wetback or whatever, or Asians, what's up, my chink? Like nothing like that. No disrespect to any of you guys. I'm just using this as an example.
Or white folks going,
what up, my cracker? Right. Like you don't see that. You don't see that.
I don't mean to laugh.
Right. Yeah. You don't see that.
But it's funny because it's stupid.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people are so desensitized to us using it because it's in the music. But we can't sit here and think that it ain't one person of a different race that has ever seen black people be like, what's up, my nigga? And be like, they are stupid. I'm sure somebody has.
Because it's because it's the origin of the word.
Exactly.
It's It's like, look, you can claim you're taking this derogatory term and using it as a term of endearment, but you're stupid for doing that.
Did y'all see the video?
I don't hear gay people saying, "What's up, my faggot?"
Right?
Sorry, I know we're not supposed to use that word, but I'm just saying. My bad.
Did y'all see the video of? Remember when the baby got into a fight with Danny Lay's
brother on the bowling alley,
and
people slipping off.
Listen, did you see the video when the brother was like, he did like a self-take video and like put it out? It was on Shade Room and it was toward the baby. Mm-hmm. I kid you not, someone made a joke about it.
Oh yeah,
it was like, this dude
leave some nigga for the rest of us.
No. He said, dude said the N-word 47 times in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like,
he really did.
He really did.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And it just, I'll be honest, it was cringing.
Yes.
It was.
It's like, yo, is this really like, but it goes back to, like I said, if you don't care about the image, the entire image, this conversation has no relevance.
Exactly. Right. And let's be honest about this. If the three of us decide that we want to use that word in this room and we're able to police ourselves and walk in public and not use the word, yeah, nobody else would ever know. But the problem is that, do you trust a 15-year-old who, like, for me, I went to school in Pacific Palisades, very upscale, predominantly white area. Yes, we used to leave school and go get food and eat and, be in that area or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Do you trust kids between the ages of 14 and 18 to be in an upscale white community inside of Jack in a Box and not be like, no, nigga, blah, blah. Like, no, I don't. I'm sorry, because first of all, they weren't taught that, hey, you are a representation. Like, my parents used to always say, hey, you represent us. When you go out into the world, whether I'm around or not, you are a representation of me. Right. So how you act reflects back on me.
Thanks.
And we're not taught that anymore.
Right. Now I'm gonna touch on you saying, like, we can sit here in this room and police it, blah 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 blah, right? First of all, the reality is, again, that part goes back to, like, but why are we using the word if it was a derogatory term toward us? It's like, it's kind of dumb. It's like me calling myself stupid.
Yeah, no, I'm not advocating for the use of it. I'm not saying that for sake of argument, if we did.
Let's approach it like baby steps.
Look, but what I'm saying is, if you approach it like, okay, well, nobody would ever know. Well, the thing is that's what white people do. And as soon as we find out that they're even doing that, it's a problem with us. Yeah. And the thing is like, they'll come out in person and they're going to act like they're your friend. But behind closed doors amongst themselves, they're going nigga. And we find that offensive, right? So what's the difference here? You know what I'm saying? The only difference is for us, for them, it's a joke. For us, it's a different kind of joke, whereas we are the joke. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's different, but it's like, the more I talk about it, I'm like, man, I need to, like, change my life.
You also got to remember, and I grew up with this issue, and you probably did too, because of kind of the family we come from. You'll realize a lot of black folks detest the idea of code switching.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes, they do.
And code switching, I look at code switching like, just in its basic form, bro. I'm not gonna talk to my grandmother the same way I'm gonna talk to you guys.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Or the same way I'm gonna talk to a policeman, or like some, like you,
or at a job.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, as black folks, we think that we are somehow compromising who we are
by code switching.
And in fact, you're actually showing that you're a multi-dimensional individual.
Thank you.
Who has some discipline.
Yeah, that's really all it boils down to.
Thank you.
Like, so until we get to a point where, like I said, we care about our ethnic image, and we think that code switching is not a negative thing, we can't even have this conversation.
You know, it's so funny. Our wonderful man behind the lens. I remember.
Hey, y'all, his name is Steve, man. His name is Steve.
Big shout out, Big Steve.
He's important, y'all.
I remember, and that's why I'm thankful to have a friend like Steve, because when we were very young, driving, right? Driving in Los Angeles, and growing up in the early 2000s, we were listening to 50 Cent, T.I., all this stuff, right? But and we both had sound systems in our cars, and whether we be riding with each other or apart, when we would get to a stoplight,
turn the music
and
down.
there would be kids or older people or whatever standing on the corner.
Yep.
We'd look at each other and laugh, but we reach over like, "Hey, bro, let's turn that down a little bit."
I do that to this day.
Because the thing is that they don't need to hear that.
No.
And you can call that a form of code switching. You can say, but why does everybody think, oh, I can just do what I want. People can just hear this and people can just hear. No.
That's the one difference
No.
I noticed.
That's maturity though, bro. I mean, I used to
we
ride
were
around.
16. There's people in their 20s that won't
Right,
even do
bro.
that.
I'm telling you, I used to ride around, even in my early 20s, I'd say, ride around blasting my music. And it's funny because the older I got, it went less and less and less. It got from me blasting my music without a care to me blasting my music and getting in certain areas and or in a certain environment, or maybe a cop is there and I'm like, or now I'm like, I don't even blast my music. I really don't. Like I might turn it up like decently loud.
Rare,
decently loud, but you do not ever see me rolling and you can hear my trunk beating down the street. You don't see that.
And look,
You
the
know
reality is, I remember I did this consciously. I was 19 or 20, and I was on Manchester and Crenshaw, I think, and I was bumping. I was actually playing Ti. I was playing front back, right.
I still might blast it.
So
That King album. We got to make some exceptions. I might have to turn that up.
I'm old school because of this guy. He's 10 years older than me, so
sorry,
I listen to old
cursed
music.
you, sorry.
But anyway, I was playing it. It was loud, and a cop pulled up next to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep my music loud this time. I'm not gonna turn it down. No, I was like, you know what? I'm just because typically I would turn it down.
I feel that.
I'm like, you know what?
I feel that.
I was just on some like rebellious. Like I'm just about to.
Hey, I feel that because the reality is I might do some stuff like that even to this day, only because I've had my run-ins.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is, I end up light turn green. I drive off. Sure enough. Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
Dude put me on for no reason, dude. I literally, he rolled down the window. I started talking. He was like,
right.
What? Like, my windows are tinted. I'm in a 2-door or whatever. And
you in a Dodge?
I was in the Dodge, yeah. So, but it goes to show you. Look, I think as black folks, we do too much complaining about why things are the way they are, rather than just accepting what is how do you move forward
and how do you navigate.
Exactly. We and honestly, this is another conversation that I wanted to bring to y'all if we have time. I want to know if y'all think that we've been bamboozled politically, man.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 3.